I once heard a powerful story about a man who stood in his truth with such conviction in who he was, he would not be moved. Someone stepped out of the crowd and said, "Are you Martin Luther King?" He said, "Yes, I am," and the well-dressed man spit on him. King took out his handkerchief and wiped the hate from his suit, gave it back to the man and said, "I believe this belongs to you. I will lift you up, do what I can do. I see your heart, I know your pain, I've been there too. I will hold you high while you do what you have to do. I am clear who is standing here. I believe this belongs to you." You ready to give up that story that's been holding you in bondage? Yes? I once had a powerful story I used to carry around. I thought it was you all this time that held my spirit down. But now I know the truth of who I came here to be. You are my angel in disguise, not my enemy. So I thank you for the part you played in this dance we had to do. I gave you back the love that's real. I believe this belongs to you. Come on and help me out. I will lift you up, do what I can do. I see your heart, I know your pain, I've been there too. Hold them high. I will hold you high while you do what you have to do. I am clear who is standing here. I believe this belongs to you. Come on and lift them up, y'all. I will do what I can do. I see your heart, I've even felt your pain, and I'll pray for you. Hold them high. I will hold you high while you do what you have to do. I am clear who is standing here. I believe this belongs to you. I give you back the love that's real. I believe belongs to you. Yes.
So we've heard from Esther a little bit. You've heard her sing an opening song, and since she's going to be with us a little bit today, I thought you might want to know a little bit more about her. She resides in my hometown of Nashville, Tennessee, so we found that out today. That's pretty cool. She's come from dependence and despair to sobriety and success. Ester Nicholson's inspiring journey in a 12-week program reveal the spiritual technology you can use to recover your wholeness, your soul, and your life. She is a Hay House radio talk show host and an author of a highly acclaimed book, which you can purchase this afternoon, Soul Recovery, 12 Keys to Healing Addiction and 12 Steps for the Rest of Us. She's been a member of the Agape International Practitioner Corps for 13 years in Los Angeles and has been under the tutelage of Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith, and he's a featured teacher of The Secret, and she's been with him for over 20 years. She's also a featured vocalist of Agape International, and we're blessed to have her sing several songs for us today. She is touring the world as a motivational speaker, workshop facilitator, inspirational recording artist, and private spiritual counselor. She has completed 2 world tours with the likes of Bette Midler and Rod Stewart and other many renowned artists. She's appeared on The Oprah Show, Ellen DeGeneres, The Tonight Show, Good Morning America, and other popular TV shows. So we've got a true wonder in our midst. And she's going to open our hearts with a song and then move right into her message. So I'm very pleased to let Ester lead the way today. Thank you.
I've been on Ellen and Oprah and The Tonight Show, but who cares about that? I'm at CSLDallas. We are one heart, one mind, one soul, yes? Yes. Here we go. All right, yeah. There's a new world on the horizon, made of light, not of stone, calling out to all creation. You are not alone. Come on, lions and lambs, saints and sinners, best of friends, enemies, woman and man, losers and winners. They're holding you and me. We are one heart, soul. One dream we share together. We are all part. Let me hear you say, we're one heart. We're looking for answers. We are one soul, finding our way through the dark. One dream we share together. We are all part. Let me hear you say it. Come on, let me hear. We are all part. Of a one heart, yeah. Yes, we are, yes. We are one heart, one mind, one soul. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Imagine all the people, yeah, sharing all the world. Imagine all the people loving one another. We are one heart, one mind. Let me hear you say it. Come on. One heart with one mind, one soul. Come on, y'all. One heart with one mind. Never alone, no. You're always loved, yeah. One heart, one mind, one soul, yeah. One heart, one mind, one soul. Let me hear you say, one heart, one mind, one soul. We are one heart, one mind, one soul. One mind, one soul. Thank you. Thank you. That song has absolutely nothing to do with my talk today. But I like the song. The title of my talk today is The Divine Invitation, Get Dressed for the Party. And I'd like to reference Matthew 22:14, where it says, many are called, but few are chosen. How many of you have heard that scripture before? Well, I had a Baptist minister for a dad. And he used to say to me all the time, you know, baby, many are called, but few are chosen. Are you one of the chosen ones? I'd look up at my dad with my little 15-year-old young heart, and I'd say, I think so, Daddy. I think I'm one of the chosen ones. But in my heart, I didn't feel that I had been quite perfect enough that day to be considered one of the chosen ones. And I was going to try with all my heart and all my soul, because I wanted to make it through those pearly gates no matter what, because I heard it wasn't fun going to the other place. So I was going to really try to be one of the chosen ones, and I decided that I was going to do it in 30-minute intervals. I was going to be really perfect. I wasn't going to move. I wasn't going to breathe. I wasn't going to do anything. I was just going to be perfect. And then God would have no choice but to let me in. And I'd get all the way to 28 and a half minutes of being perfect. And then somebody would have to start playing some Motown music. And I'd start moving my body the way Baptists don't move. I forget all about being a chosen one. Or somebody would say something to make me mad, and I'd say one of those words the Baptists pretend they don't say. Because my dad was a pastor of his own church, we used to have visiting churches come to worship with us all the time. And they'd always bring a busload of cute boys. And I'd have to invite one of them behind the church to smoke a cigarette. Because many are called, but few are chosen. And then when I got pregnant at 16 years old, because you know us PK kids, we get it done. When I got pregnant at 16 years old, I had to just rip up my application to the pearly gates altogether. I was never getting in now. But I had a great dad that even though he was grounded and rooted into a belief system that can sometimes be very limiting and fearful, he never made me feel ashamed about being pregnant. He said, baby, we are family and we love you and we'll get through this together. You can't sing in the choir. Because many are called but few are chosen, but we love you. Jesus liked to speak in parables. When he likened the kingdom of heaven to when a king sent his servants out to invite special guests to attend the wedding feast he was putting on for his son. And so the servants went out and they came across the first set of guests. And the first set of guests looked at the invitation and said, oh, that's not for us. That's for the Joneses down the street. Wrong address. And so they take the invitation to the Joneses down the street, and the Joneses look at the invitation and say, oh, please send the king our regrets. We're not going to be able to attend the feast that he is putting on. We're way too busy, maybe some other time. So they go and they report this back to the king, and the king's like, I'm the king. What do you mean you're not coming to my feast? What do you mean you're not coming to my party? He says, well, I want you to go and I want you to invite them again. This time I want you to tell them that I have prepared oxen and fattened cattle and all the meats and wines and delectables that they could possibly want. And in this day and age, you'd have to invite the recovering alcoholics and the vegetarians. They tell them that I have prepared all the tofu, celery juice, and Diet Coke they could possibly want, because there's something in the kingdom for everybody. Is that right? And again, the invitation was declined. So he said, I want you to go this time. And instead of inviting the special guest, everybody's special. I want you to invite the good, the bad, the rich, the poor, the believers, the non-believers. Everyone is invited to partake of the feast. And on the day of the banquet, he looked around the hall, and it was filled with guests, and he was pleased. But he noticed one guest in particular that was not properly attired for this most prestigious event. And he was like, what's up with that? You come drink all my celery juice and eat all my tofu and drink all my liquor, and you don't even bother to get dressed for this occasion? You're not dressed? So he approaches the guest and he says, why aren't you dressed? And the guest was speechless. He had no words for the king to explain why he was not dressed for the feast he was invited to. So the king ordered his servants to bind him hand and foot and to kick him out into a sea of darkness where there would be much weeping and gnashing of the teeth. And when I heard that when I was a little girl about the gnashing and weeping of the teeth, I'm like, oh Lord, I'm so going to hell. But I was going to sneak my way into heaven. I was going to wait to 2 minutes before I died and say, God, forgive me, so I can just sneak on in. But I'm so grateful that there came a time in my spiritual unfoldment and development when, as much as I loved and respected my daddy, I had to leave behind his church. And there came a time in my unfoldment and development where I had to leave behind his God. And I had to find a God of my own understanding. And as I began to inquire within my own beingness about my God self, about the nature of this presence and power that we call God, and that name is too small to describe that which is infinite, to describe that which is indescribable. And I went within and I wanted to know how I could translate, how this scripture could be translated through me in a way that was empowering instead of disempowering. A way that gave me faith instead of had me in fear. A way that embraced me and supported my growth and my development. And the first thing that came through me was that, first of all, this thing that we call God, this life that we call God, is omnipotent, meaning all power. There is no other power. There is no other presence. There is no other life. There is this one power, and it is good, and it is omnipresent, everywhere present, in its totality, at every point in the universe. Is that right? And so it is impossible for this group over here to be included into the kingdom of heaven, which is not a place or a destination, but a state of consciousness. And this group over here to be excluded. We are all wanted. We are all expressions of the divine. And we are all invited to partake of the feast, even the 16-year-old pregnant girls. We are all one. But my question within was, well, if that's the truth, if I'm one with spirit, and it is love, and it is good, and it is all power, and it is well-beingness, if that's true, then where's my stuff? Where's my good that's supposed to be happening? And so that led me to go even deeper. And as I went deeper, I had to find out some things about myself that was blocking the good that I was calling forth in my life. And as I found out some things about myself, because we are one heart, one mind, and one soul, I found out some stuff about y'all. And I'm gonna talk about you. So here's what I found out. This is what we do. We have a wish. We say an affirmation. We say a prayer. We get prayer. We have a desire. We have a dream. And immediately the universe that says, before you call, I will answer, and while you are yet speaking, I will hear. It is done. Your dream, your wish, your affirmation is already done. But here's what happens. You forget to get dressed for the party. You forget to get dressed for the feast that you prayed for. So you prayed for infinite, unlimited, lavish prosperity, but you want to hold on to the habitual thought patterns of lack and limitation and fear. And it's not a vibrational match. Do you agree? You want to call forth freedom and peace that passeth understanding, but you want to hold on to the idea of suffering and resentment and blame and shame. It's not a vibrational match. Do you agree? And you cannot have in consciousness where you are not living in consciousness. It is the law. And so you show up for the party that you've been praying for, and you've been going to all the workshops for, and you've been buying all the books about, including Esther's this afternoon. You've been... That was good, wasn't it? And you're wondering why your stuff hasn't shown up. And it's because you show up at the party and you're not dressed. And the universe says, I got your stuff, but you got to go away and you got to get dressed for it. You got to dress in consciousness, in your worthiness of it, in your deservingness of it, in your oneness with the infinite. Because when you don't, you're cast out into a sea of darkness in your own consciousness, of doubt, of fear, of uncertainty, and there is much weeping and gnashing of the teeth. I used to think that was a physical place. But just like the kingdom of heaven is a state of consciousness, so is the state of hell. It's a state of consciousness. And then there are those of you who not only don't show up dressed for your own party, there are some of you who say, I ain't going to the party at all. I'm busy. I got things to do. But what you're really saying is, I'm so afraid. I don't know how. I don't know how to step into this vision. I don't know what to do. So I tell you what, I'm just going to not do it. I'm not even going to deal with it. I'll put it off for another couple of years until I'm really, really, really perfect. And so you put it off again and again and again. And I remember many, many years ago when I was extended my most significant invitation. It showed up at my house in this beautiful ivory-colored envelope. And it said, Esther, you are cordially invited to attend a life free from drug addiction and alcoholism. And this invitation showed up in my consciousness as the veil parting. Just for a moment, I caught a glimpse. I caught a glimpse of seeing myself the way God saw me. I caught a glimpse. Instead of this cracked out, wounded girl, I saw this woman who was walking in her own brand of dignity, who knew that she was an expression of divine love. I caught it. I saw her. And for a moment, I was in awe. But then I got so scared because it's like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to maintain that. And at the time, I didn't know that I didn't need to know the how. I didn't know I didn't need to know the how. So I shut it down. And I threw that invitation up on the desk with all of the other invitations where I had RSVP'd, no, not now, I can't. And I said, wait a minute, I'm not a drug addict, I'm not an alcoholic. I just need to do better drugs. I just need to do them at Christmas time than the weekend. How many of you have a drawer or a desk or a closet full of invitations where you have RSVP'd, no, not now, I can't? One of you, thank you. Let me see him, come on, tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth. And if it's not in the physical place, where is it hanging out in your consciousness? No, not now, I can't, I don't have time. No, not now, I can't, what if? No, not now, I can't, how? So shortly thereafter, the pink invitation showed up, and this beautiful pink envelope, and it said, Esther, it is highly suggested that you attend a life free from drug addiction and alcoholism. And this invitation showed up in my life as my losing yet another job and my utilities being disconnected once again. But I looked at that pink invitation and I said, hold up, wait a minute. I am not the problem here. If all of my employers that fired me would just understand and would have received the memo that every Monday is a holiday, and the utility companies would have gotten the memo that I'm a single mother, then everything will be all right. And I threw that pink invitation on the desk. But here's the thing about the divine impulse, that divine invitation that is pulling you. You know, Michael Beckwith says the pain pushes until the vision pulls. It is pushing you because it's uncomfortable, it's getting tight, it's getting hot in there. You know what I'm saying? Here's the thing about the divine invitation. It's a lot like the IRS. It doesn't start showing up because you ain't ready to deal with it. It doesn't start showing up because you don't know who you are, that you don't know how loved you are, how supported you are, how magnificent you are. It just keeps showing up until it finally clicks. So shortly thereafter, the red invitation showed up. And it said, Esther, I will not take no for an answer. You will wake up to your true identity as an expression of the divine. And this time the invitation showed up at my house as my family showing up at my house to remove my daughter from an unfit environment. With my daughter holding onto my leg as they were pulling her out the door, saying, Mommy, please don't let them take me. Did I do something wrong, Mommy? Don't you love me anymore? Why are you letting them take me? And I had no answer. I had no answer because I was powerless and I thought I was doomed. And I said, it's better that they take her. At least she'll be safe. But I finally looked at that red invitation and I said, okay, okay, I'll show up for the feast that has been prepared for me. I'll show up for the party, but I have nothing. I have nothing. I have nothing to wear. I have nothing to put on. And I felt the universe through me say, oh, beloved, but you have something to wear. And I went to the closet, and there was this old raggedy dress hanging in the closet. But it was a designer dress, and it was made by this famous designer called Willingness. And there were these turned over shoes in the closet. But they were made by this famous designer called Surrender. And I slipped on my shoes of surrender, and I put on my dress of willingness. And I crawled, and I cried, and I clawed, and I screamed as I was growing and breaking forth into the truth of my beingness. And it was uncomfortable, and it was messy, and it was wonderful, and it was amazing. And the universe just kept pushing me forward. And I got to show up for my party. And they let me in, and I got to stay. And that is why I could stand before you today with 27 years of sobriety. I didn't know the how 27 years ago. I just finally said yes. Now I know that there are many of you in here that's like, I've never had a drug or alcohol problem. Nice story, but what is she talking about? Well, let me tell you the nature of addiction. Let me tell you what addiction is. Addiction is an effect. And however that addiction manifests really doesn't matter. What matters is that the definition of addiction is when you have lost the power to choose. Addiction is when you have promised from your soul over and over and over again that you're going to do a certain thing, and you break that commitment over and over and over again, even though you want with all your heart to keep that commitment. Or an addiction is when you have promised from your soul, you have promised on your firstborn child that you will never do that thing again that is sabotaging your life and causing so much pain. And the next thing you know, it has taken over your mind and you're doing it again. And so it may not look like drugs and alcohol. But what about if it looks like procrastination? What about if it looks like self-sabotaging thinking over and over and over again? What if it looks like chronic fear and worry and doubt? What if it looks like being emotionally addicted to another person, that if this person's not in your life, you think you're gonna die? Can I get an amen? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Or how about being addicted to thinking that something external to you is your security, is your source? And that if that thing doesn't happen, you're not going to be taken care of. So you hold on, even though its time has passed. And so if you can maybe relate to this next story, when I was singing with Rod Stewart 7 years ago, and I felt that divine impulse thing happen. By now, I kind of knew what it was, and I was like, oh no, I know you're not trying to tell me to leave my gig with Rod Stewart. This is Rod Stewart. Because first, the divine impulse, the ivory invitation, shows up as inspiration. Oh, I can be a speaker. I can be a teacher. I can be an author. Oh my God. And then quickly, oh God, I don't know how to do that. Never mind. You know, this is my security. I know what my paycheck is going to be every week. Never mind. I'm just a little bored. I'm just a little bored with Rod Stewart right now. And, you know, I mean, my God, if you had to listen to him sing Maggie May every night for 5 years, you'd want to stick a fork in your eye too. But isn't that what we do when the invitation comes? Then we start making excuses as to why we can't accept it right now. So then the pink invitation came, of course, and it said, Esther, I have given you this opportunity to sing with Rod Stewart and Bette Midler and to perform in front of tens of thousands of people so that you could anchor in your stage presence and your poise in preparation for this huge vision that you were created for. It was never intended, I want you to hear this, it was never intended for you to pull over and park in somebody else's vision. How many of you are pulled over and parked in somebody else's vision today? 5 of you. At least the 5 of them raising hands. 5. And if you're not pulled over and parked in somebody else's vision, where is it that you're holding on to an old vision of yours from a long time ago that you've outgrown that's not serving you today? And you're afraid of letting go. And so the universe said to me, all right, Esther, let's get started on this vision. I got your back. Everything's going to be okay. I am your source. And we're going to step out. We're going to be a speaker. We're going to be an author. Yeah, all this. And I was like, yeah, Rod Stewart, what? Uh-huh, yeah, we're going to step out and everything. Yeah, the universe was like, yeah. So I want you to give notice. And I was like, yeah. What? Like now? I didn't mean now, universe. The universe was like, yeah, I got your back. Everything's going to be okay. I am your source. And I said, no, wait a minute. You see, I know what my paycheck is going to be every week. And people recognize me as Rod Stewart's background vocalist. I got a pretty sweet gig here. The universe was like, Rod Stewart's not your source. I am your meat and your wine. I have called you by name. Your life is so much bigger than what you know. I have created you to do something bigger than sing Hot Legs behind Rod Stewart for the rest of your life. I'd have still been singing Hot Legs behind Rod Stewart. But I said, no, universe, I'm not going. Give me a couple more years. How many of you asking for a couple more years? We always ask for a couple more years. Give me a couple more years. Let me sock some money away. And I'll get back with you. Have you ever told the universe you'll get back with you? How'd that work out? I'm always trying to bargain with the universe. I'll get back with you. The universe is like, all right, cool. Because the universe doesn't argue. It is just immutable principle. It just is. It was like, all right, get back with me, boo. Calls me boo. Get back with me, boo. Because this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. A week later, I get a call from England. And it says, Esther, darling, we are so grateful for your service, your years of service. You're beautiful, you're adorable, we love you, and you're fired. The red invitation. That thing that feels like the rug is pulled out from under you. You know what I'm talking about? That thing where it feels like you've been blindsided. You didn't see it coming, did you? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. But we tell ourselves, I never saw it coming. When the universe showed up as the ivory invitation and the pink invitation, gave you a couple of pink invitations, gave you a chance. But you said, no, give me a couple more years. No, I'm afraid. No, I'm not worthy. No, procrastination. No, doubt. No, not now. I can't. The universe was like, I'm going to have to give you a little nudge. And the reason that I was given for being fired from Rod Stewart was because I had reached an age and a weight that was no longer acceptable to sing Hot Legs behind Rod Stewart. You do understand, darling, you've gained a little weight in your bum. I just want to ask you something real quick. Turn off that tape for a minute. Have you seen Rod Stewart lately? You can turn it back on now. I'm actually only kidding, because here's the thing. I am so grateful for that man. I am so grateful for that man that fired me. I am so grateful for every relationship that seemingly left me. Because you know what? He did for me what I couldn't do for myself. Because when you have a prayer, when you have a heart's desire, when you have a wish and you don't show up for it, the universe will download your answered prayer, your feast, in the only available channel that is ready to receive it. And if you're not ready to receive it, it will download through something or someone else. And in this case, my prayer downloaded through Rod Stewart at the level of his consciousness. It downloaded the only way I was willing to hear it. How sad that we're only willing to hear our answered prayer through pain. When are you going to know that you're worthy of having your answered prayer through love and ease and grace? So whoever did something to you, they abandoned you, they betrayed you, they left you, they abused you, they didn't do it to you, beloved. They did it for you. They did it the only way you were willing to get the message. And if you weren't willing to get the message that time, well, there's a purple invitation. Because you will get it. You will wake up. Because your good is chasing you down. It is your birthright. It is your divine inheritance, and it's going to chase you down. So when I finally got off the floor 6 months later out of the fetal position, after raging at what Rod Stewart had done to me, I finally went to that desk piled high with invitations. And I said, I don't know what to do. If I'm not a background vocalist, what do I do? What are my next steps? I don't know how to be a speaker. What am I supposed to do? The universe said, well, pick up one of those invitations, baby. I picked up one, and I turned it over, and lo and behold, there were a set of instructions on the back of the invitation all the time. So when the divine impulse is pushing you and pulling you to wake up and to accept your gift, the answers, the guidance, the direction, they are encoded in the invitation. But if you're operating at a low vibrational frequency of resistance and fear and doubt, you can't match the high vibration of the answer that is waiting for you. And the first direction on the back of the map, first of all, in my book Soul Recovery, which was just released by Hay House, and yes, that is a plug, but there are a set of directions to support you in getting dressed. It is a program of the 12 steps of recovery and new thought and metaphysical principles, because we need steps in here, don't we? And the first step said, Esther, please stop thinking. In fact, Esther, please don't ever think again. Because you keep trying to figure out the solution from the place of the problem. And there is no solution there. From the place of the problem, in step 1 of recovery, it says you are powerless. We admit it. We are powerless. I admit I am powerless over my thinking. I admit I am powerless over my fear. I admit I am powerless over my procrastination, and my life has become unmanageable. But in key 1 of my book, Soul Recovery, it says, through my conscious reconnection to the divine, I am divinely empowered, and I am restored to divine and perfect order. And step 2 of recovery says, I came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. And in key 1 of soul recovery, it says that the power greater than yourself is yourself. It is within you. It is as you. It is not up there, out there. It is right where you are. And you can't be restored to something that you never had. You were not created in the image and likeness of unworthiness and procrastination and not enoughness. You were created out of wholeness and divine love. But in order to tap into that, it says we must become willing to turn our will, the ego will, the fearful will, over to the care of God as we understand God. And in key 3, it says, in all of your getting, get understanding about the nature of this power that you're turning your will and your life over to. If you could get in touch with it, if you could embody this nature of infinite love that is for you and nothing is against you, that is your biggest fan, that adores itself as you, then you would say with all of your heart and all of your mind, yes, thy will be done. Thy kingdom come, I trust. I let go. But you've got to get dressed in consciousness for the gift that is coming your way, whether you're ready for it or not. It's coming. So you might as well get dressed in preparation for it. Don't you agree? So I don't know what the invitation looks like in your world. I don't know whether it's ivory. I don't know whether it's pink. I don't know whether it's red, but you know, don't you? You know where it's showing up in your life, and you know how hot it is right now. And so if you're at the ivory invitation stage, it doesn't mean pick up and leave your husband next week. It means get dressed. If you receive the pink invitation, I know it's a little confusing. I know it's a little hot in there right now. Don't make any sudden moves and don't panic. It's just the universe saying, I've got some information for you. I've got a gift for you. Get still. Get still, get prayer, get help. Start your getting dressed process. If it's the red invitation, I know that it feels like the dark night of the soul, and it feels like nothing will ever be okay again. That's exactly how it's supposed to feel, because it breaks you wide open to tap into that infinite source that is for you, your feast. So I invite you to get dressed with me. 27 years of sobriety, I'm still getting dressed. I get dressed, I put on a new dress every day of willingness, of surrender, of saying, yes, I surrender. I invite you to get dressed, and I'll continue to get dressed. And I'll meet you at the feast, I'll meet you at the party, and we're gonna party down. Yes? Peace and blessings. So right now, we just anchor in the feast that has always been established. It has always been done. It is the same yesterday, today, and forever. It is good. It is your heart's desire in the invisible realm. It is infinite love and inexhaustible good that is nearer than your hands and feet, closer than breath. And so it is from this place that I speak my word for each and every person in this room, knowing that there is a yes factor happening within us right now. There is a yes within us right now. Thy will be done, thy kingdom come. Yes, I will show up for my feast. Yes, I will show up for my good, no matter what, knowing that you are divinely supported by all of the angels, by the entire universe, that you are not saying yes to the universe and walking into anything alone. You are divinely loved and supported. And so I am just grateful and thankful right now for the yeses and the hearts that I hear and I feel right now to the divine invitation to wake up to your true identity as an expression of God. It is for you. You are worthy. You are deserving. You are it. No matter what your history has been, no matter what your past is, that we get to create from our imagination and not our history. We get to forgive our past and we get to make a new agreement with love, with wholeness, with our heart's desire. We get to say yes to it. And it is done unto us as we believe. And that our beliefs are expanded to accept the kingdom of heaven now. I am grateful and thankful for this paradigm shift in each and every consciousness in this room to go the next level. I celebrate with you. Yay! Yay! Your feast is here. Yay! I am grateful. And I release this word into law, knowing that it does not return void, but is fulfilled. Even as I speak this word, it is done, and so it is.